Hi, Cat here. Today's video is this Polaroid pop-up card that I designed in Cricut Design Space using all those images. So you can design something similar as well, or you can go into the community tab and use my design from there. It's under Cat Slade. It's super simple, so let's get started. Once you cut all the pieces out on your Cricut machine, I actually have a Cricut Maker, but this will work on a Cricut Explore Air or an Air 2 as well. And I've cut all those pieces out and my machine has even scored the lines that I need to fold. So I started with the white piece here, which is the very front of the camera. And there's just a couple of score lines on it. This scraper tool is actually really useful for getting things off of your mat after cutting, but it helps to really define those folding lines as well. There are a couple of score lines also on these little tabs here, and this is going to go on the front center of the card in the middle of the camera. So just fold those score lines down, and the next step is to glue them on in the middle. Now I have sped things up a little bit because, it's gluing and you can see clearly here what I'm doing as we go. Once you've glued all three of those coloured lines in place, then grab the tiny little black rectangle I've got here. We're going to glue that to the top left side of the front of the card here. It is a rough guide. This is artistic license. If you want to look at a classic old vintage Polaroid camera, you might want to put it in a different spot. This reflective holographic cardstock I used for the camera flash, I thought it was really kind of cool, and it kind of looks like the old fashioned flash on the front of the cameras, so I've added that there, and that's just on a layer of black behind it, and again I glue that on. Now you can raise any of these off the cardstock if you want to give a bit more dimension. I choose to do that with the lens, but with all of these for now I just glue them flat onto the front piece of the card. If you are interested in making more pop-up cards, I've got lots of different designs on my YouTube channel, so do check those out. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as well if you want to see some of my previous designs. There are lots of different options with pop-up cards and they're super fun, and Cricut actually has a bunch in their design space that you can make completely free, and all the instructions are in there too. This is the lens I'm putting together now. It's just put the small circles on top of the slightly bigger circle with each one, and I chose to glue this all down completely flat as well. This is a little glue bottle I got for a fine tip. I just got it from the dollar store, but it really helps when you've got those tiny little bits that you're gluing, and the bigger bottles the glue can come out a bit too fast or too much. This is more of a precision tip, and it really helps with these card projects because too much glue is just going to make a mess. And here the tiny little dots here, these are just to highlight, make it kind of look like a lens, a reflection off a lens. You can do this with cardstock, or you could even use tiny bits of vinyl. If you cut these out of vinyl, it would do the same thing. To attach this, I added some thick foam tape from a roll I had. Just cut the piece the size that I need and put the sticky double-sided foam tape to the back of the lens, filling that circle. And then I can just stick it on, and it raises it a little bit off the card, giving it a little bit of dimension on the front. Next, take the white piece and the black square and add some glue to the back of the black square. Now this is the photograph that comes out of the front of the Polaroid, your instant photo as it were, and you can actually print your own picture to go on here. I've done that before for cards. You could add whatever you want onto it really, but printing a personal picture on here is kind of fun, especially when you're giving this as a gift to somebody. The next part might seem like the scariest part because this is the base, the pop-up part of the card, and you do need to get this bit right in order for it to work properly, but it's really not that tricky. There are 5 score lines on here that hopefully you had your score tool in the machine and the machine scored those lines for you. And you're just going to fold along those score lines one at a time, making sure the crease is nice and clear. The trickiest one to actually define is right by the opening here where the photo would come in and out. So use a flat surface if you need to. I'm folding mid-air, which is kind of a bad habit I have, but really it's best to fold on a flat surface and use the tools that Cricut creates to help you do this properly rather than winging it just like me. And as you can see, it does make it a little bit easier when you do it on a flat surface using the right tools. Once I've folded all the score lines, you can see they're all folded the same direction, and we do actually need to make the third one down a valley fold instead of a mountain fold. So just fold that one the other way. You can see here on the side view that that third score line from the top is a valley fold. Looks like a valley rather than a mountain, if that makes sense. And then the white bit goes on top of the card, and again we're going to have to turn that middle one into a valley fold. If you hadn't done it earlier or figured it out earlier, just fold it the other way. Make sure that crease is nice and clean, and then that's going to sit directly where it needs to on the top of that black back piece. For glue, I use Recollections mixed media glue. I find it dries really quick, it doesn't come out too fast, and if I put it in a precision bottle I don't use too much of it, and everything dries really quick. You could also use tape or double-sided tape for this if you prefer, but I like to have the flexibility to be able to move my project around a little bit just to adjust the lines if needed. This is the outside of the card. Now you can do this in any colour. I chose to use white cardstock for mine because I have more white cardstock than anything else. But this is the outside, and it just has a score line down the middle like any card. And then you're going to position the camera part in the middle. Gluing down the base part of the camera is the best way to get this to sit properly inside the card. Again, you can use glue. Here I'm using my tape gun. I know exactly where it's going to go, and it's going to stick a lot quicker. So with the pop-up mechanisms, you do need something that is strong to hold it. If you're anything like me and slightly impatient, if you're gluing something, then you have to wait for it to dry before you test the pop-up mechanism. If you don't, then you'll just ruin it and have to re-glue it. So tape is a way to avoid that, having to wait until it's dry. But again, once you've stuck it down, you can't really move it around. So the choice is yours how you prefer to do it. Stick the center piece right up close against that black bit there and push it down. So this is the part that can go sideways if you're not careful. You want to fold it flat when the card is flat, and I tend to glue it like this for a pop-up card because otherwise if you glue it when it's open in the pop-up position and then you go to close it, sometimes it won't close completely flat. So put the glue or the tape exactly where you need it to go after checking where your positioning is going to go. But basically if you fold this on itself like I'm doing here, make sure it's flat and then close the card. When you open it up, it should be in exactly the right position. Again, you can re-watch this bit as many times as you need if I've gone too fast. But that's the best way to get a pop-up card to be in the right position, is to glue one side and then close the card to glue the other side as well. For the front of the card, I created my own design again for this, and I chose to do like a film strip and wrote the word sun on the front, but you could put anything you want on the front of this card. Really, you can change the design in Design Space to suit whatever occasion or whoever you're gifting the card to. But this is just what I went with. So again, I sped it up so you can see that I'm gluing bits together. This is the film strip, the white behind to highlight the lettering, and then the lettering on the top. If you do like my video, please give me a like and a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of my videos, then I have lots more coming. I'm even going to be doing a regular live show called That's What She Shed, and I would love it if you would join me on there and make some fun crafts along with me. My next one is going to be very soon. I haven't set a date yet, but it will be soon, and it's going to be a really cool 3D Valentine project. So I hope you will join me for that one. And I hope you enjoyed making this card with me today. Thanks for watching, folks, and I will see you on the next one.